Have you ever visited a graveyard or cemetery without fear and hesitation? We are in Cairo and this is cemetery. Have you ever visited a graveyard or cemetery without fear and hesitation? Whenever we have to bury our dead, our hearts are filled with sorrow and our visit to cemetery is always depressing. Death is a solid, unchanging truth of life. According to Christian belief, those who died in Christ will be resurrected, and those alive at that time when Christ returns will transform. This gives hope for the future and comfort in the present challenging times, especially when we lose our loved ones. Why I am talking about death and cemetery? Because today's topic is related to it. So let's explore the mysterious world of Christian catacombs and their significance in history. During the Roman rule in the 1st century, Romans were polytheistic civilization, means they were believers and worshippers of multiple gods. When a person died, they used to cremate their dead bodies. But some pagans and Jewish, they practiced burying their dead loved ones, and they used catacombs. And Christians, they also started using catacombs because in Roman days it was forbidden to bury the dead within the city limit. So 2nd century was when the Christians started using catacombs. Additionally, they described a particular burial site which was near the quarry and under Appian Way. So Appian Way was the first and most important roadway built by the Roman Empire, and it exists to this day.
Over time, catacombs was associated with any underground cemetery or network of tunnels used for burial purposes. More than 60 catacombs with thousands of tombs are found in the city of Rome, each with its unique history and significance. The use of catacombs by Christians declined after the Emperor Constantine's conversion to Christianity and with the Edict of Milan in AD 313. Christianity's acceptance as the official Roman religion allowed Christians to bury their dead within city limits, leading to a decline in catacomb use. Despite this, catacombs continued to hold importance. Some Christians continued to visit these catacombs, especially those holding remains of Christian martyrs. Saint Jerome, a 4th century theologian and priest, was the first to recount his visit to tombs of martyrs on Sundays during his student days along with his companions. By the 4th century, several chapels were built on the top of certain sections of the catacombs in honor of martyred Christians.
In those days, the deceased person name was written on the catacombs, on the wall of the catacombs. Along with that, many stories from the Old and the New Testament were depicted by paintings on the catacombs, on these catacombs. For example, the most common depictions were Abraham sacrificing Isaac, Noah escaping flood, Moses beating the rock, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego inside the furnace, and Daniel unharmed in the lion's den. And from New Testament, Jesus healing the sick like blind and raising the dead like Lazarus and Jairus' daughter, and Samaritan woman conversation with Jesus Christ, and multiplication of loaves. These are some of the main depictions which were depicted on the catacombs in those days. And there was also symbols. Symbols were also depicted on the catacombs. These symbols, what they did, they simplified the complex concepts. For example, Jesus was depicted by the symbol of fish. And in Cairo, Egypt, when we come across in many churches, there is fish symbol, and it actually depicts Jesus. The heavenly peace was represented by dove, and firmness of faith by anchor. So these symbols and the art, they were special source of inspiration, and they fostered brotherhood and love within those community. within the Christian community. So they are very important for Christian in those days. Even now, Coptic church, if you see, there are many depiction of paintings and arts. They form a special inspiration and special. They gives a special message when a believer enters to the church, and that's what Catacombs represents. So much history and so much culture of Christianity is represented in these catacombs, and they are very special in the church history. So when we see these catacombs, despite they symbolizing death, they actually represents the faith and the anticipation of church for resurrection. Catacombs were not only burial sites, but they were secret hiding place. Probably they were secret hiding place when church was undergoing persecution, and there was worship service also. They were gathering and they were worshipping, and they were taking communion service there, and memorial death meals for the dead person.
As a part of our tour in Egypt, we witnessed one of the seven wonders of the medieval world, the catacombs of Shoqafa in Alexandria, Egypt. These underground tunnels are among the most stunning monuments in history and among the best preserved ruins in Egypt. Located in the east of Alexandria, they date back to the 1st century AD. Although these are pagan tombs of Greco-Roman and Egyptian architecture, we got a first-hand experience of real catacombs from ancient times. Christian catacombs are differentiated by the pagans through arts and symbols from the Bible pointing to the Christian belief. In the catacombs of Shoqafa are 3 levels in the tomb, carved into the rock along a staircase running along the cylindrical shaft. The body of the deceased was lowered with the help of ropes into the shaft, and the mortarian collects the body from the tunnel passage and buries it. Initially, it was the burial site of a wealthy family. Husband and wife statues can be seen erected in their memory, and later it was utilized by many to bury their dead. Various arts and symbols can be seen carved on the stone walls. This is a common hall built in the catacombs where the deceased person's family and friends gathered to mourn and celebrate the deceased. In order to pay respect to the deceased person, their loved ones gathered to have memorial meals. Catacomb was a complex narrow tunnel with various chambers running throughout. As we finished our tour inside the catacombs of Shoqafa, we were fascinated by the great creative mind of ancient civilization.
Studying these catacombs, that shows us the history of the early Christians, that how firm they were in their faith, despite of all the persecution, despite of all the culture differences within that pagan time. So I hope this catacomb, Christian catacomb, gave you a picture of early Christians' faith. Thank you.